guys, one last time for Codename Bananas. You now have a project. You're going to create a poster advertising the book. Now, put stuff about your favorite scene in the book. I'll put a list of the things you need to put in there. Make sure there's not a lot of white left over. You remember, I like lots of color. Fill in that paper, but don't just scribble. Do your best work. You should be proud of the work you do, so do your very best job. I'm going to read to you a little bit more today, just on some notes on the real wartime Britain, and then you'll get to work on your project. Notes on the real wartime Britain. Codename Bananas is a story imagined by David Walliams. So some of the extraordinary things you have just enjoyed reading might never have actually happened in real life. But as the author has set this story in 1940, you might be interested in learning more about wartime Britain, as well as some of the real inspirations behind this book. The Second World War started in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland, which Britain and France had promised to protect. It ended in September 1945. It was fought between the Axis powers, including Germany, Italy, and Japan, and the Allies, including Britain, France, the US, Canada, Australia, India, China, and, from 1941 onwards, the Soviet Union. The war changed the lives of everyone in Britain. With food and other goods in short supply, German U-boats patrolled the Atlantic attacking cargo ships, so valuable supplies were lost. In addition, people left jobs in farming and food production to fight in the war. Some food was rationed to make sure there was enough to go around, and people were encouraged to grow fruit and vegetables in their gardens. Bananas would have been a rare treat. Adolf Hitler was the leader of the Nazi Party and seized power as Chancellor of Germany. He believed in the absolute supremacy of the German people, and during the war he ordered millions of Jews, Romani, and other groups to be murdered in the Holocaust. He undertook a military campaign to occupy much of Europe and planned to invade Britain. Hitler took the title Führer, demanding complete loyalty from the German people and enforcing his total control as dictator. The Blitz was a German bombing campaign in 1940 and 1941 that targeted big cities like London, Manchester, and Coventry, destroying thousands of homes and forcing people to take cover in bomb shelters and even London Underground stations. More than 2 million children were evacuated to the countryside so they'd be safe from the German air raids. However, while this story has anti-aircraft guns in the center of London for added drama, they were actually located on the outskirts. Bombs did indeed fall on London Zoo, as happens in the story. At one time, this resulted in a zebra escaping on the streets of London. The Dunkirk evacuation was the rescue of over 300,000 Allied soldiers from their port of Dunkirk in northern France in May and June of 1940. Belgian, French, and British forces were trapped in the area by the German army, and massively outnumbered in a huge military operation. Most of these soldiers were rescued by ships from the Royal Navy and French Navy, as well as a large number of ordinary people in private boats. Just like in the story, several Allied ships were unfortunately sunk by German boats and planes. In real life, the Grafton, Eric's father's ship, was torpedoed by a U-boat, killing several men on board, although, in fact, that did not cause it to sink, and many of the men were able to be saved. German U-boats played a significant role in the Second World War, threatening Allied cargo ships, as well as attacking the Royal Navy. In fact, breaking the code that these submarines used to communicate was one of the things that helped the Allies win the war. As far as we know, though, a U-boat never sailed up the Thames. London Zoo remained open during most of the war, but at the time of this story, it is probable that the elephants and some of the other animals had been evacuated to Whipsnade Zoo and to keep them safe. Sadly, just like in the story, some of the more dangerous and venomous creatures did have to be put down in case the zoo was damaged by bombing and they escaped. London Zoo had always cared for its animals' welfare as well as its visitors, and, in fact, during the Second World War, wounded soldiers were allowed into the zoo for free. Many incredible things happened to the animal characters in this story. We know that in real life, wild animals should be left in their natural habitats as far as it is possible. Today, zoos around the world, including London Zoo, focus on the conservation of endangered species and on creating suitable environments for the animals for which they care. Winston Churchill was Prime Minister during the war, and his military leadership played a big part in the eventual Allied victory. After leaving school with poor exam results, he became a soldier and part-time journalist before going into politics. The stirring speeches he gave to the British people are famous for having kept up the morale of the nation. Buckingham Palace. Eric and Sid enjoy a party at the palace with the youngest princesses, Elizabeth and Margaret. It is fun to imagine them sharing a banana split with Gertrude. The young Princess Elizabeth went on to become our queen, and as Queen Elizabeth II, it says she sits on the throne today, but she recently has passed. So, I hope you guys enjoyed Codename Bananas. Can't wait to see your posters. Take your time. Take your time. Do not rush. Use lots of color. Use the skills you have learned on how to draw faces and everything else. Can't wait to see what you create because I know you're going to do your best work. Please do your best work. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and we'll see what we read next.